Welcome to episode 396 of the show. Today, I'd like to talk about using feedback for business improvement. Now, feedback is only possible when you are in an open conversation. I'm going to assume that we all know what feedback means, and so I'm not going to bother to define what feedback is. But just for curiosity or academic interest or whatever, I'd like to let you guys know that I've come across another term, or rather another way of looking about feedback for business improvement. And that's another concept called feed forward, I think. And this is something that is meant to be proactive, where you ask people ahead of time on suggestions on what it is that needs to be improved, because feedback looks backward. So you're going back to go and speak with someone after you guys have concluded the project or concluded whatever it is you are working on, and then you run the debrief that I propose over here, and you ask about what went right, what you have done better, things of that nature. But feed forward is supposed to be a much more forward-facing thing. You're supposed to be anticipating. When I do some more research on feed forward, especially when I come across the original material that the person who coined the term used to push forward the idea, after I've done some research on that, I'll make a podcast recording on that. So, in an academic sense, I guess, or just in the sense of being merely curious, just let you guys know that there's more than one way of looking at feedback, or looking at conversational mechanisms that we use to improve our business. So there's feedback, which we conservative, old school dinosaurs use, and then there's supposedly feed forward, which is a much more modern, newer, and improved, or at least that's what people say, framework for looking at these sorts of things. So keep a lookout on the podcast for future episodes where we talk about feed forward. But today we're going to talk about using feedback for business improvement. Now, where was I? Okay, so I said it's only possible if you are in an open conversation. That's where, you're asking conversations and giving the other person room to speak without trying to ram opinions down the person's throat. And that's where you're going to be able to get the best feedback. And that's why on that's why on previous episodes, I can't remember which one in particular, the last one where I did it, I said that if you were going to do client questionnaires, basically what I was saying was that client questionnaires are not a good idea, at least not in the beginning, because when you frame client questionnaires and you have option A, B, and C, you are working on the assumption that you know what the important options are and the things that customers should be paying attention to. But rather, we should have lots of open conversations, and then when we get feedback from them and we find out what it is that our potential customers, stakeholders, business partners, people that we interact with on a daily basis, when we know what it is that they find interesting and important about our business, we can now use that to make it a part of the questionnaire. Anyway, so let's move on. So feedback, we need to have an open conversation, and that's pretty much the reason behind why this is my philosophy of having conversations is important. So just remember that we should always have a conversational mindset, whether you're in person, whether you're over Zoom, email, or SMS. We should always assume that we are having a conversation, because there's some old school folks, some dinosaurs, like me, might assume that feedback is only possible when you are having face-to-face conversations, but just have a conversational mindset, no matter what medium it is you're using, and you will be able to have a useful session where you get all the feedback that you need, all the data that you need to move your business forward. Now, be that as it may, I will still repeat again that for me, the hierarchy goes face-to-face because that's the most effective, and then video-based technologies, I think, are next best, whether it's WhatsApp video or Zoom or whatever, and then SMS is more personable, and next is WhatsApp, and for now, email is at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of effectiveness. And the reason why they rank that way, the reason why I stack them that way, is because of the level of nuance and context and things like that you can pass out or pass across in the mode of communication that you're using. So if it's face-to-face, people are going to be able to see whether you're happy, angry, sad, combative, honest, closed off, stuff like that, stuff that all those things that are harder to pick up if you're using purely text-based media like SMS or email. Now, feedback is going to tell you which parts of your product or your service delivery are flawed, and that is going to tell you what it is to improve upon. So if you're a wedding photographer or you're a wedding planner and you keep asking the question, what do you think we could, what did you guys love the most? What could we have done better? What do you think we need to improve on? So if you ask 10 people and then 7 say a particular thing, then you know that you either need to work upon that particular item or you need to ditch it altogether. Now, feedback is going to tell you which parts of your product or your service delivery work great. And that is what you need to double down on and keep on doing more of that. And a personal example that I've given over here on the podcast is in the past when I've tried to figure out what it is that works with my clients, and I expected to hear wonderful stuff about my stunning photographs and how elegant they look and how sophisticated they are and how stylish they are. But instead I started hearing stuff like, oh, I like you, you're very professional, you're this, you're this, you're that. And so I realized that it was not the, in my own case anyway, it was not the product per se that was key to me having such a great time with my brides and grooms, but rather it was service delivery. And so I knew that for me, I had to key down on that. So feedback is going to tell you which part of your product or service that is great, and you have to double down on that. So I think I wrote a post on the Instagram handle recently. That's the sales conversations on Instagram, sales_conversations, where I was given an example of a cake baker who assumed that the taste of her cakes was the ish, and that's the reason why people were coming to do business with her. But then after asking around, she found out that it was actually her sugar craft, the design, all the stuff that you bakers do with sugar, with fondant, all those wonderful things that you do. You make a wedding cake and you put a peacock on it, or you bake a cake and it's a golf course, and friend of mine did a turntable, and then what else? So anyway, she found out that for her, the USP, the unique selling proposition, the thing that people were really going after, was the fact that her cakes were absolute masterpieces. I mean, they didn't taste bad, but they were absolutely stunning to behold. And so this is how feedback is going to help you to improve your product. That's in my cake baker's case, or in my own case, improve on your service delivery. So when you hear the stuff that you couldn't, you need to do more work on, improve on that, or drop it all together. And then for stuff that works great, you need to double down on that. Now, why is this important? Why am I bringing this up again today? And that's because I've been posting Instagram reels on the handle, the sales conversation sales_conversation. That's the handle that I use on Instagram to talk about sales and business related matters, the kind of things that we talk about over here on the podcast. So matters relating to sales and business development. Now, when people like the reels or give me feedback, I reach out to thank everyone personally who likes or follows. Now, in this case, it's not hard to do because I only get a few hundred engagements per Instagram reel for now, and I have a Bluetooth keyboard, so it's doable. Because with a Bluetooth keyboard, I can type and respond fairly quickly. So that's not a problem for now. And then also, I've come to find out that the time to engage with as many customers as possible actually is when you are small enough to do so. So right now that the Instagram handle hasn't kicked off, I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers. I think I'm barely up to 150 followers, I think. So it's now that I have very little engagement that I'm going to be able to reach out to everyone and have conversations with everyone. So by the time that particular channel grows and I have maybe 1,000 followers or 2,000 followers, it's going to be a lot more difficult to reach out to each individual person to say thank you very much for liking the reel. What did you find interesting? What do you need some help with? What did you find much more challenging? And then stuff like that. So so that's the reason why I do that right now, because number one, it's easy to have a Bluetooth keyboard, so I can type real quick. to respond, and then also because now I'm small enough that I can get in touch with everyone. And of course, the focus is, if you've been following from what I've said earlier, is going to give me the intel and the data that I need to grow this account bigger and to direct the flow of conversations that we have over there on the Instagram handles. Now, some people reply to these messages that I send out, and some interesting conversations ensue from that. Now, one conversation that I had was with a young man. I can't remember his name. We still have the chat going anyway. So he gave me some tips concerning my videos. He mentioned that there's a delay from when I hit the record button to when I start talking. And he said that the delay is really obvious and it could be costing me views. And I do take these guys' opinion on the matter strongly because, well, he's much more younger than I am. And looking at his own page, he seems to consume and produce much more of this kind of video content. So his feedback is much more valuable than whatever. His feedback is really valuable at this stage because, as being part of the younger generation and hopping on this thing, he has a whole lot more knowledge about these things than I do. So anyway, I didn't know that there was a delay because what I do is I want to be sure I'm looking directly into the camera. So I hit play and I wait until the clock starts running. But I didn't realize that then that causes a delay where I'm looking awkwardly into the camera for a second or 2 seconds before I start talking. So now that I've gotten some feedback from the engagement that I've been trying to generate over there on the Instagram handle, I now know something more to apply to make my message delivery great and to make my videos great and to make sure that the content that I put out there is hitting the spot. Now, I was only able to get that feedback because I was open to conversations and I prompted the conversations through different channels where folks can have access to me. And that's part of the reason why earlier on in the podcast, I was really vocal about giving out my phone number and my WhatsApp, Instagram handles, stuff like that. Because it's always nice when I get to hear from you guys, and that's how that helps to drive and improve the thrust of what it is that we do over here. So the philosophy is the same in business generally. That's when we go beyond just this matter of Instagram or podcasts. So the philosophy is the same in business basically. So you should call in or message to say thank you for the order, especially now that you're small, because it's going to be hard to call everyone up to say thank you when you start shooting or you start planning 10 to 20 weddings a month. Have those conversations, ask them what do they love, what could have been done better, and then take all the intel to improve on your product. So if you're a baker or a wedding planner, you're going to get all the suggestions that you need to be able to improve your product or improve your service delivery. And so that's the reason why I am making this recording today and reiterating this message that we've spoken about time and time again over here on the podcast. Feedback, absolutely important, because I'm living proof right now. And you, for those of you who do follow the Sales Conversations Instagram handle, okay, actually, most of you, actually, I don't think there's anyone here who's following that handle because I only have 150 people and more people listening over here. So please follow the Sales_Conversations Instagram handle. For more good stuff, business and sales development material, but a much more smaller bite-sized format, because over here we go on for 15, 20, sometimes maybe 30 minutes, but on Instagram Reels, videos are limited to 1 minute for now anyway. So that's all I'm making over there, 1 minute videos addressing the sorts of things that we do over here. So if you follow, or for those of you who already follow, you're going to see how my video craft improves, and that's because I'm taking feedback from people that I'm having interactions with, and the philosophy is the same when we talk about business in general. So let's have an open-minded philosophy of conversation, mindset, and let's pursue that. So whether it's in person, over Zoom, SMS, or like in this particular case, Instagram DM, just have the mindset that you're having a conversation. And with that mindset, you're going to get all the feedback that you need to make yourself personally better, to make the business better, to make the product better, and to make the service better. So that's it pretty much for today. Thank you very much for listening. I'm your host, Abuja-based sales and business consultant Tavishima George Aide, the host of Nigeria's longest running business podcast. So thank you very much for your time and attention. I'll catch you guys at the next recording.